guys, this is going to be the continuation of last week. This is, as you can see on the screen, this is part 2 of referrals. I'm going to kind of go back and recap a little bit about what we talked about last week, because I certainly think that it's important. But mainly last week, what we talked about is how to get them. Okay, now here's the thing. You can be excellent. You can be the best referral getter on the planet. But if you're not working them, what's the point? Like, what's the point of getting referrals if you're never going to make any sales off of them? And I got to be honest with you, I've been guilty of it. I've been guilty where I've had my recurring lead order and I'm getting, 20, 25, 30 leads a week. And I'm like, I'm collecting referrals because I know it's the right thing to do, but then I'm not working them. Guys, man, this is an opportunity to, if you're getting 30 leads a week, this is an opportunity to maybe bring your slowly start bringing down your leads, maybe go from 30 to 25 or 25 to 20, but keep the same profitability and make the same amount of sales, maybe even more, but reduce your costs with working the free leads, the referrals. If you're watching this on YouTube, if this is a replay, if you're one of our agents, that's great. If you're not an agent with Senior Solutions, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. I'd love for you to be able to utilize the content that we offer every week. That's part of what the Senior Solutions platform is, as an educating agency, is bringing value to everybody. Whether you're with our company or not, I really don't care. I want everybody to be able to get value from what we're doing. Down in the bottom, I went ahead and put my direct phone number. I'll put an arrow there down in the bottom right-hand corner. If you're listening to this call, you should already have my number, but it's area code 630-890-8609. Yes, that is my personal cell phone number. Okay, so if you need to get a hold of me, just give me a buzz. Last week, just as a little bit of a recap, we talked about the moneymaker. Okay, there are certain things that you can do that I believe unequivocally will increase your business. One is having more leads. Okay, so increasing your lead order is certainly a way of increasing your business, and then also increasing the amount of prospecting that you do. Those are the three things that I always talk about are lead generation. If you want to make more sales, increase your lead generation, increase the amount of prospecting, increase the amount of training that you do. Okay. The fourth thing, and I can't tell you how important this is that you got to track your numbers. Activity without being tracked, guys, I'm just telling you, you're absolutely blowing it if you're not tracking your numbers. I'm just telling you personally, this is probably the single most important thing that I've ever done to increase my business. And I'm telling you, when I started tracking my numbers, I instantly went up 20 to 30% in my in sales. But I had something to measure it. You measure your results. When we talk about goal setting, it's great to set goals, but if you're not measuring those goals, like, what's the point? So you got to track these. You got to track these numbers. One of the things that I talked about, let me get a highlighter real quick. Let's see. No, I don't want to end the show. Again, let's see. Let's go with red. I always have trouble with this. Give me a second. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm not going to go through everything that we track and how we track it, but obviously daily activity tracker, you should be tracking the amount of dials you make, how many scripts, your appointments, DKs or door knocks, door knock scripts, door knock appointments, how many sits, how many apps, APV is your annual premium volume, what you wrote, and of course, referrals. Tracking your referrals. This is going to be so important just to see how you're doing, because then you can go back and you can take a look and you can do a ratio of how many referrals are you getting to appointment. And guys, but I promise you, it's possible to get referrals from people that you don't sell. It doesn't just have to be people that you sell. You should be able to get referrals utilizing the tools that we talked about last week. So if you missed last week's presentation, go back, make sure you watch the YouTube video, watch referrals part 1, and then go back and watch referrals part 2. But you got to track those numbers. So one of the first things that we talked about last week was we talked about the emergency response system and what to say. So so we're not going to cover that again. Okay. So we've got the referrals. Let's say I've got this list of referrals now. I filled out, let's say I only did this sheet. I've got 5 referrals on here. I'm going to put in 4. So if this was Mrs. Smith, this is the date. I can put any notes in here, like if she lives in, St. Charles, Illinois, as an example. I can put them in there. What we're going to be talking about today, what I'm going to be teaching you, is what to say when you call the referrals. Like I said before, I could beat this with a dead horse. It does you absolutely no good to get referrals if you're not going to work them. Okay? I'm going to teach you how to work them and incorporate this in with your lead. So what I would do is I would take my ERS sheets and I would actually put them in with my leads. Now, obviously, I want to go through and I want to call everybody, but I really want to focus on the people that are relatively local. Because ideally, even though, yes, I can sell them on the phone, ideally, what I would really like to do is be able to sit down with them face to face. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to role play. I'm going to, role play with myself here, I guess, and just pretend I'm going to be the agent and the client. Now, guys, what I recommend is listening to this recording. If you're listening to it now, that's great. You're listening to it live. You're going to need to go back on and get on the YouTube channel and listen to it again and just write down, because I don't have, I probably have maybe similar verbiage to what I'm going to be covering in the magic formula. But what I recommend is just go back and listen to it, write it down, and just listen to the tonality, listen to voice inflection, listen to exactly how we're going to make this call. Okay. So let's say I'm calling my first client here, and her name is let's say her name is Mary, and let's say Mary is the the sister to Ruth. Ruth is the client that I sold. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call up Mary. I'm going to ring the phone. Ring, ring, ring. Mary's going to say, "Hello, can I help you?" I'm going to kind of do it like my phone script. I'm going to say, "Hello, Mary." She's going to say, "Yes, who is this?" Like, "Mary, my name is Joe Johnson. And listen, we haven't met yet, but I'm actually the life insurance agent for your sister, Ruth. And I just met with your sister a couple of days ago, and I was able to help update some things on her policy. But Mary, one of the things that we were able to do for your sister is that we put in place for her an emergency response system, and your sister wanted me to reach out to you. Let me just explain to you real quick what the emergency response system is. The emergency response system, Mary, it's a network of friends and family, people that obviously care and love Ruth, that it's a network of friends and family, that if something were to happen to Ruth, in other words, God forbid she were to pass away, or even come down with a chronic or terminal illness, or be in a very serious accident, or have to go into a nursing benefit, as her agent, Mary, it's my job to make sure that I get the benefits paid out as quickly as possible. And obviously, if something happens to Ruth, if she gets really sick, or dies suddenly, or is in a serious accident, she's not going to be in a position, obviously, to call me. So that's the reason why we put together this list. And what your sister was hoping is that you would just take down my name and number. So if something were to happen to your sister, that you would just reach out to me. Mary, is that something that you're okay doing? Of course, she's going to say yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, of course, great. Okay, great. Well, here's my name. My first name is Joe. My last name is Johnson. Here's my phone number. This is where I live. I live in this case, I live in Naperville, Illinois. I see you're in, Geneva, Illinois, which I know is right next to St. Charles. One of the things I'm going to ask Mary to do is, Mary, do me a favor, because probably when we hang up, good chance you're not going to remember who Joe Johnson is. But if you could plug me in, if you could write this information down on a piece of paper, keep it somewhere safe, but also maybe you could plug it into your cell phone and just but list me as a contact, list that contact under life insurance. So if you forget my name, you could always just go into your phone and just type in life insurance, and my name would pop up. So I'm going to give Mary some time to write everything down, and then I'm going to ask her for an appointment. And I'm going to phrase it like this. I said, now, Mary, I'm going to say what I say, then I'm going to explain why I say what I say. Mary, if you could do me a favor, she's written down my name and everything. Now listen, Mary, I know that you probably already have plenty of life insurance and you're already taken care of. But one of the things that I do as a free service and a benefit to all of our clients, and to the names and numbers that your sister had given me, is what I'd like for you to do for you is provide you with a free planning guide at no cost. And then also, Mary, what I'd like to do is provide you with an absolutely free, guys, my audio cut out just for a second. Okay, I'm back. What I'd like to provide you with, Mary, is a free policy review. And Mary, that's basically where we take a look at all the policies that you currently have, and we just make sure that there's no weaknesses in them. Because let's face it, Mary, if you've got a policy and there's weaknesses in it, when would you want to know? You'd obviously want to know now, when we maybe could do something about it, versus later. Mary, I'm actually going to be in your area, next week on Tuesday, and then I'm just going to set it a time. Does something in the morning work out better for you? I could swing by and drop off the information and do the review at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, or would something later in the day work better for you? And guys, I'm just going to go for an appointment. Now listen, if Mary comes back and she says, no, I'm not interested, I'm all set, I'm not going to harass her. I'm not going to push on it, because the last thing I want her to do, I don't want Mary to call her sister, say, oh, your agent called me, he was so pushy. Then I could, potentially put the first policy I sold in jeopardy. Now, one of the things that you might have noticed that I did is that I didn't ask Mary if she had life insurance. Okay? I just assumed that she did. Because if I asked the question, now, Mary, one of the things I like to do is show you the benefits of a policy. Oh, out of curiosity, Mary, do you already have life insurance? If she does, yeah, I already have life insurance. I'm all set. You know, I don't want to go that angle. I want to automatically go in and I want to provide value. What I'm going to do, I'm going to provide Mary with a free planning kit, which is our 2-pocket folder full of information with the My Wishes record keeper, the 10 facts funeral directors don't want you to know, all the funeral costs, how to save money. That's the planning kit. Okay, so I want to add value by offering the planning kit, and I want to offer the value of doing a free policy review. Guys, there's a big difference between asking somebody, oh, do you have life insurance, than offering them to do a policy review. It's very subtle, but I hope that you can pick up on that, because if you ask them if they have life insurance and they say yes, then you're going to have to say, well, what I'd like to do is a policy review. There's more likelihood that they may say, well, you know what, I know I already have whole life. I'm all set. Trust me, this works. Just take the different angle. In general, stop asking your clients if they have life insurance, and just ask them to do a policy review. That you're going to do a 6-point inspection. Bob and Mary, we're going to take a look at your current policies. We're going to do a 6-point inspection. We're going to make sure, we're going to see what kind of coverage you have. We're going to verify your coverage for you. See if you've got term, whole life, universal life, accidental, whether it's level or graded. We're going to take a look to see if you have if you have cash value. We're going to verify your beneficiaries. We're going to verify if your policy perhaps is in jeopardy of lapsing. When does the coverage end? When will your premiums go up? These are all the things that we're going to do at no cost during your policy review. And guys, what you basically want to do is you want to go through and you just want to work each of your referrals on the ERS sheet as if they're leads. Just work those into your normal rotation. And if it's someone that lives out of at a distance, if it's a state that you're licensed in, you can certainly still sell them over the phone. We've got lots of products that you can do over the phone. You can now do the Transamerica e-application over the phone. Of course, they need an email address. You can do the Mutual of Omaha over the phone. You can do Liberty Bankers. It's a tele app. You can do that over the phone. You can do Royal Neighbors over the phone. You can do Americo over the phone, a telesale. So they've got a lot of options at selling at a distance. When I'm working my referrals that are at a distance, I'm not going to call them the same time that I'm booking up my appointments. Okay? I usually will call them at a different time. When I'm calling to set up, let's say my Monday or Monday or Tuesday, I'm looking for preset appointments. If I'm calling a referral, I'm going to call them maybe on like later Saturday afternoon after I've done all my dials. Because if I get the referral on the phone that's at a distance, let's say they're 100 miles away, same state, they just live, far away, or maybe it's in a different state that I'm currently licensed in. The reason why I want to do that at a different time, because if I get them on the phone, I'm going to go ahead and try to sell them right then and there, okay, and give them a quote and everything. Now, how I'm going to work that lead is obviously a little bit different, because I'm not going to be able to do a policy review. So what I would do in that case, let's say I'm calling, I already called Mary. Let's say I'm calling Bob, and Bob's a friend. I'm going to use the same initial script. Hey Bob, this is Joe Johnson. Listen, we haven't met yet, but I'm the life insurance agent for your good friend Ruth, and I just updated her insurance. And one of the things that we did is we put together her emergency response system. Let me just explain to you what that is. It's a network of friends and family that care and love Ruth, that would be willing to reach out to me if something were to happen, if there were a tragedy. And I use the same script. If you know if um, if she were to be in a serious accident, have a chronic illness, have to go to a nursing home, or God forbid that she were to die, my job, Bob, is to make sure that Ruth family, that the benefits get paid out as quickly as possible. So that's the reason why we put this network together, as for people that would be willing to go ahead and contact me. Bob, is that something that you'd be willing to do for Mary? Great. Okay. Then I'm going to say, Bob, now listen, I'm sure that you already have plenty of of life insurance, but what I'd like to do, if you are interested, I'd like to go ahead and just let you know what we could do for you and give you a free quote right over the phone. Okay. So he's either going to come back and say, let me get rid of this call, my apologies. So he's either going to come back, it's going to be pretty straightforward. He knows I've already done business with Ruth. So it's going to be relatively a straightforward call. He's either going to say, no, I'm not really interested, or yeah, sure, you can give me a free quote. I mean, just offer a free quote right over the phone. Just do it. And then just go right into the, find out his age, his health questions. I am going to ask at that point. Now, Bob, I am curious, do you currently have any life insurance in place now? He's going to say yes or no. If it's no, then obviously we don't have to worry about adding or replacing. If he says, well, yes, I do, great. Bob, let me ask you a question out of curiosity. Would you be interested in just adding on to what you have? Or if I could find you a better policy, would you be more inclined to replace what you have? So I just want to get an idea. Are we talking about a replacement, or maybe he's got a term policy about 30 years ago he's just going to keep and just let it run out? So I may do a little bit of digging there to find out, especially if he's receptive. I may do a little bit of digging there just to find out what he has, and kind of do a semi-policy review over the phone without actually seeing it. Ideally, if I'm selling over the phone, I don't want to get into replacements. I'd rather just add on to what he currently has. Okay, I'm not a big replacement artist, because more than likely, if I'm doing it over the phone, my go-to carrier for that is Liberty Bankers, and I don't. You can't do a replacement over the phone unless you're getting wet signatures on replacement paperwork. So kind of get away from that. But that's how I would work the guy or girl, lady, person that's at a that is at a distance. Okay, and that's primarily, I mean, my number one source of referrals where I've had the best luck is the emergency response system. Now, a lot of times what you'll find too is that people who are on the ERS are also listed as beneficiaries as well. So sometimes the beneficiaries are local, sometimes they're not. The next thing is the beneficiary certificate. Now, last week we talked about doing the beneficiary certificate. In an ideal world, what you would want to do is when you do the beneficiary certificate, you're going to want to get back together with your client in their home with the beneficiaries available. Okay. If the beneficiaries are not available, let's say they do live at a distance or they live out of state, more than likely they are going to be listed as the ERS. But I'm going to make a very similar phone call. I'm going to call the beneficiary. I'm going to introduce myself. Hey, Bob, this is Joe Johnson. Listen, we haven't met yet, but I'm your sister, Mary. I'm her life insurance agent. We just updated her policies. She's probably going to be reaching out to you, but she listed you as the beneficiary on her policy, and I'm actually going to be mailing you a beneficiary certificate. And what's included in that beneficiary certificate, Bob, it's going to have, obviously it's going to have your sister's name and mailing address and phone number, which I'm I'm sure you already have, but it's also going to have my information, my phone number, and also my email address. It's going to have the company that she went with. In this case, it happens to be, say, Mutual of Omaha. It's going to have their phone number, policy number, and also uh, the 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 benefit amount. Okay. So in addition to that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask Bob some other questions about his life insurance as well, and I'm gonna handle it very similar to the other one. Um, Obviously, this is, if you're doing the beneficiary is is in some cases your very best referrals, because they've already been listed as a beneficiary. Now they can kind of see the value of of a life insurance policy. But it's kind of a combo where a beneficiary certificate is kind of an ERS slash beneficiary, because obviously if they're listed as the beneficiary, one of their responsibilities is to be calling the agent. So I'm going to ask Bob. I said, Bob, not only are you the beneficiary, but it's also your responsibility to make sure is that if something were to happen, if your sister were to be involved in a very serious accident, or she were to come down with a very chronic illness, long-term hospitalization, or if she loses mobility or has to go into a nursing home, she has potential benefits that could have payouts, and it's my job to make sure that we pay these benefits as soon as possible. Please promise me that you'll keep this beneficiary certificate, and that you were to call me if something were to happen to your sister, not just death, but like I said, diagnosis of a terminal illness, chronic illness, nursing home, or a very serious accident. Yeah, great. Of course, I'd be more than happy to call you. Great. Okay. Bob, while I got you on the phone, what I'd like to do is, if I could I go ahead and give you a free quote as well? I'd like to quote you the same type of coverage that I quoted my sister. Now, Bob, I'm sure you probably already have plenty of life insurance. Obviously, this would be in addition to, specifically just to cover your final expenses. Or, Bob, maybe you'd like to leave a special benefit to some of your children, or maybe your grandchildren. Bob, is it okay with you? Can I go ahead and give you a free quote? Okay. It's either yes or no. He's the beneficiary. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to push him. Here's the thing about getting referrals, guys. If you get enough referrals, if you can get 20 to 30 referrals a week, that's a lot of extra people to call. You don't have to be pushy. If you can get 20 to 30 referrals, there's a good chance you're going to sell 10% of them. That's an extra 2 or 3 sales a week. Just from doing your job, just from doing, honestly and respectfully, just doing what we should be doing anyway, and just having a conversation with people. You don't have to be the world's greatest salesperson when you're calling referrals. Here's what I tell people all the time, whether it's in sales or whether you're trying to recruit a team. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You know what I'm saying? So don't get so wrapped up that your script has to be perfect. The most important thing is that you do the activity of actually calling. That's the most important thing. And then the initial client initial satisfaction survey. I guess this would be someone that your client gave you some extra referrals that weren't necessarily, they didn't want them on their ERS. They weren't beneficiaries. They're just like extra referrals. So if they're local, I'm going to try to book an appointment with them, and I'm going to use it's a very similar script. I'm going to use Bob again. Bob's a friend. Bob's a neighbor. Mary knows Bob, but they're not like super tight. So he's not listed as one of the emergency response system people, and of course, certainly he's not a beneficiary. I'm going to call Bob up and I'm going to say, hey, Bob, this is Joe Johnson. Listen, we've never met before, but I'm your neighbor, Mary. I'm her life insurance agent. And listen, I just helped Mary out with just updating some of her policies and helping her out with some great plans. She gave me your name as a referral, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer you a free planning kit that we do for all of our clients, then also offer you a free policy review. And Bob, that's simply where we just take a look at any of your existing policies and we do a 6-point inspection just to make sure that there aren't any weaknesses. Because let's face it, Bob, if you've got a life insurance policy that has weaknesses in it, when would you want to know? Would you want to know now or 10 years when it's too late? He's going to respond, I'm going to go for an appointment. Again, I'm not going to be super pushy with it. You don't have to be. And you've already got that connection. You've already done business with the neighbor. You've already done business with the friend or whatever the connection is. So always refer back when you're getting referrals. It's important to always refer back to the person that referred you, obviously. And I know you guys know this, but never give any details as far as the policy. So if Bob, the nosy neighbor, says, well, what did Mary get? How much life insurance did she get? How much is she paying? Or who's the beneficiary? You know, those sort of things. You can't reveal any information about the policy, except to I would go ahead with the beneficiary. Obviously, that's fine because they've already been listed on the policy. Guys, let's see what we have next here. Let's see, the I am your policy. This is just a review from last week in order to get referrals. And obviously sending out the birthday cards and just asking for additional referrals. Guys, this is just really just kind of a recap from last week. Obviously doing our annual reviews. Let me just check here just to see if we have any questions or not. Guys, if you have any questions about getting referrals, go ahead and raise your hand. If not, we are all done. We're in the call. Yeah, guys, we're in the call a little bit early. Again, this is part 2 of getting referrals. So if you've watched this video and you missed the first one, just go back to YouTube, subscribe to our channel, go back, watch the first video. That's part 1 on getting referrals. And then this section will make a whole lot more sense. Guys, if you need to work with me one-on-one, certainly give me a call. But honestly, I've got to get off to this meeting, so we're going to cut it a little bit short. But it's been my pleasure to be able to talk to everybody this morning. God bless. Have a productive day and have a great weekend. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.